Good afternoon, everybody. Mr. Georgakopoulos, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a real pleasure and honor to be here with you today. And I believe it's a very interesting subject, and we have a number of people with great knowledge, and I'm certain that they can add a lot of value to all of you. So I'll start. What we are facing, we're in an era of accelerating geopolitical tension, where defense and security are once again at the forefront of Europe's strategic agenda. The renewed NATO and EU commitments to higher defense spending are not just about numbers. They are about rethinking how we build capability through innovation, dual use, that was mentioned before, technologies, and deep collaboration between governments, industry, and research institutions. Innovation has always been at the heart of defense, but today, truly we're entering a new phase. One where technology, data, and collaboration across civil and military ecosystems will define the next generation of security and resilience. I would like to start basically with asking each and every one of you, and I'll start with the lady at the end, about a brief introductory statement. Thank you.
So first of all, I would like to thank you for the invite here, to the invitation to this great and well-organized and high-quality forum. And it's a true honor to be part of this brilliant panel and discuss this interesting topic. So my name is Josefin from Meer, and I'm representing the Swedish agency Vinnova. And Vinnova is a small agency under the Ministry of Climate and Enterprise, meaning we are a civil agency. And by small, I really mean small. We are about 200 employees, 220. So it's a small agency. And to describe Vinnova, we usually use like 3 legs. So the first leg is that we are identifying. We are an identifying organization, meaning like we identify like where in the society and where in the system there's a gap to be filled or there's a gap to be bridged, and where we can make a huge impact. And secondly, the second leg is like we are mobilizing the ecosystem. And the ecosystem, I mean, like traditionally we have the industry and academia, but also we are working very close with the intermediates. And the intermediates are mostly like business incubators, science parks, innovation hubs, innovation offices, etc., to really mobilize and to fill this gap, because by ourselves, we can't really do this huge impact with those huge challenges. And the third leg is, I guess, the one we are most known for, at least in Sweden, because we are also a research funding agency, meaning we fund research projects and also large collaboration projects within all sectors. So we have like a national mandate to stimulate and support innovation in all sectors, like broadly. And as I guess many innovation agencies in nationally and also at the EU level, meaning the Horizon Europe, has been focusing on the business applications within these innovations and hasn't like traditionally looking into the defense sector. But for a little bit more than a year ago, we got a national or like a governmental assignment to establish, like initiate and establish a civil military innovation program together with the Swedish Armed Forces. And I normally say that's I think it was a pretty smart move by our government to really give this together to like Vinnova, the small agency, to do this together with the Armed Forces. Because none of us can really do it ourselves, I think. And I think by that, because being a small agency is also like we are encouraged to like try new things, move fast, taking high risks, and like we can fail. We are not blamed if we fail. We only blame if we like continue doing the same things without adding any change. Then it's a failure. And I think that together with then the Armed Forces that has a tradition, at least 2 years ago, to like having a lot of time, no money, meaning like not taking any decisions, not taking any risks, to come to this era when they have a lot of money but no time, having like taking a lot of decisions, taking risks and try new things. And then us together doing this, I think, has been pretty good success factor to really, like, we have to have the trust from the military to, like, also go into this new actors, or it's not really new actors because it's the traditional actors we are targeting within this civil military innovation program. And the program itself has the primary goal is to increase the defense capability. And we are actually looking into to spinning in the actors from the civil or technology that's been developed on the civilian side to solve military problems. And when we started, we didn't really know if this is going to be a success because we didn't know if there's a willingness to defend within the normal actors we're working with. And but as Göran von Sydow said before, like the driving factor, like one of the drivers, I think is the sense of urgency, because we were surprised about the interest in this program, and people or like entrepreneurs, professors, industry, like really came together and were working closely. So I think I stop there.
Thank you. Can I ask a first introductory remark from Ms. Somaya?
Okay. So my name is Somaya El Marrakchi, and first of all, I would like to thank you. Thank you for your, of course, for the invitation, but as well for, your perseverance of the people here at that time, to have them here. So, okay, why we are here part of this panel, it's because, as in the previous panel, connectivity is really the backbone of the defense capabilities, especially now that everything is going digital. And we have seen that in Ukraine, okay? Why this? It's because what are the needs that defense has? They need a secure, resilient, reliable, high performance, that means, good, fast, let's say, low latency, that means real time. When they need to have an action, they need to do it real time. So, and connectivity is the information, is getting access to the information, the right information, when it's needed, where it's needed, and be able to process, to connect this data from different sources, of course, and be able to process it, to decide and act. So that is what defense needs. And 5G is the best platform for them. It's true that 5G is the civilian one. I mean, it's born as a civilian, but we are seeing, and especially as I said, in Ukraine, but not only, they are using, connectivity is really key. So with this, we are what Ericsson is doing. Ericsson, Diana earlier said it's the #1 for innovation. Ericsson and the Sweden as well is the first, as telecom, and we are leaders in 5G in Europe and not only, but globally. So why this? We have seen that 5G, of course, can help in this multi-domain operations, so across all the forces, the sea, the ground, the air, and even to interconnect, because sometimes they need that not only within a country, but even cross borders where it's needed, okay? And Ericsson is helping in integrating, the advanced technologies together with 5G to serve the defense. And we are talking about innovation. This is innovation, but based on this dual use. That means how we can, leverage on what the civilian technology did, so the 5G, and together with advanced technologies, the sensing, the 6G that is coming, the sensing, the artificial intelligence and all, and how, to leverage on this to answer the needs of the defense, okay? So that is very important. And it's very important as well for the defense industry, because that means they rely on the commercial agility, okay, and private investments as well. Okay, and that doesn't mean that 5G should replace their technology, absolutely not. It's complementary to what the proprietary that they have and all. So dual use is for us is key. super standardized to be able to have this cross and interoperability, which is key for them as well. And how we can do this only, as you said, if we have a collaborative ecosystem, for defense. And here we are talking about everything. We are talking about research institutes. We are talking about private SMEs and prime, because SMEs are the one bringing, of course, the agility and all, and many other. The whole ecosystem is needed for that.
Thank you. Mr. Möller.
Yes, Lars-inge Möller from Volvo Defense. So I'm here very exciting to talk about how we can share and collaborate and share the technology that for us maybe do not fly commercial. I think someone else talked about it earlier today, but there are a lot of people working in our company, Volvo, and there are a lot of innovations going on. Some of them don't fly commercially, but they should fly in the defense industry. And if we do not collaborate on a very good and detailed level, we will never understand what to bring for industrialization, which we maybe choose not to if we don't see a need. I think that's a very important topic.
Mr. Lundmark.
Okay, my name is Stefan Lundmark. I'm coming from Saab, responsible product management for Submarine and Unmanned submarines. I spent whole my year actually doing software and software products. And I think what we're looking here at defense and innovation is that innovation comes from creativity, the ability to cooperate. And if we go back history-wise and look at defense industry, defense innovation has always been locked in. Had also been a locked at secrecy, but it has been in the forefront of the industry, of technology. But you're looking at what's happening decades after decades, commercially available products has been developed in a more faster pace than defense industry. You had it in the 90s with graphic cards. You have it in the early 20s when communication went to software-defined radio, etc. And now you have battery technology, etc. So being innovative in the defense industry, it's really, really important that we shift mindset, looking into dual use, partnership, cooperation, collaboration, and share as much as possible without giving away military secrets. And that's the balance that I see that now it's getting easier and easier to do. We have, since a couple of years, got a really good foundation in Europe with the European Defence Fund, where it started up. There is a lot of, it actually promotes collaboration across Europe, across large companies as well as small ones with key technologies. And that opens up for a complete new way of being innovative and driving new capabilities. And I think that is something that is really, really good. And can we combine that by using new software technology with going more cloud-based, sharing information, rely on new kind of security regarding information with zero trust, etc. We can actually, together among small companies and large companies, create a very, very innovative landscape in Europe. And I think actually that's the way we need to continue.
Thank you. Mr. Skalaios?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Dimitris Skalaios. Thank you very much for the organizers for inviting me in the panel. I'm an executive officer at Hellenic Aerospace and CRO. Actually, I'm wearing a dual hat here as I'm the chairman of HASDIG, which is Hellenic Association of Defense Security and Aerospace group in a group of 60 companies in Greece that are mainly active in the defense and aerospace sector. As the previous speakers and panelists said, and we are living in a very interesting and difficult time as regards security and defense is concerned. Clearly, myself, I'm almost 2 years with Hellenic Aerospace industry. It's been a very interesting period. What we do, just as a quick intro, is we support the Hellenic Armed Forces, especially the Air Force, but also the Navy and the Army, in maintenance of platforms, C-130, in upgrades like F-16, and we also have a diverse activity in the co-production activity in manufacturing parts for the global supply chain of Lockheed Martin, for C-130J and for F-16 again. So we have both maintenance and MRO for aircraft and engines and helicopters, but also manufacturing activity. And also, which is more relevant to this panel, we have a quite dynamic electronics department that is the driver of innovation, as right now with EW, clearly the old weapons gradually are being replaced or are being supported, complemented by technology, by innovative products. We have made some progress in creating new products like a jamming, anti-drone jamming product that has been battle-proven, and there is significant demand from not only from Greece, but also from other MODs. Again, with regards to the main theme now is, as Mr. Doko said before, is to invest more in defense in Europe, and also to invest together. So collaboration and common procurement are key themes in our sector. And this is also creates more room for innovation, for working together on innovation and industrial, of course, production. But also with common procurement, increasing the commonality of platforms, increases efficiencies, and reduces the costs in the life cycle of the product. So again, it's a very interesting time to be in this role. It's also a challenging time, of course, because Hellenic Aerospace industry is a state-owned company with certain limitations, certain challenges, as we have diverse set of activities. We have 2,000 employees, experienced engineers and technicians, and also less experienced, but we have a lot of engineers and technicians in the company. And there is a lot of dynamic to do more things, and we are quite optimistic despite this turmoil. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lymperis, if we can have an opening remark from you as well.
So, since it's late in the afternoon, allow me some introductory remarks before my introductory remarks. Entering the room, I saw in the bronze sponsors, Muses Estate. They come from my village, where I come from, outside Thebes. They make wine, obviously. And they make it in a place where Hesiodos, one of our ancient poets, lived, and he said that this place is terrible in winter and awful in the summer. Still, they make very good wine. Now off to my real introductory remarks. Many have talked about experts. Well, I come from an organization that was stood up 15 or 16 months ago. So I feel a student in innovation. However, here we are. And we are discussing broadly the developmental impact of defense-related research into our economies. Following the themes of our session, we are supposed to focus on public-private partnerships, and on waterfall effects of dual-use applications, while we are not so clear on who stands on top of the waterfall and who is waiting down it. Those are ways to achieve ends. Before we talk about them, I would like to point out that in this discourse, unless we share an understanding on ends and thus be prepared to coordinate on means, we will not travel very far. Ends should be communicated in clear terms, and means should be developed for our community use, while well beyond the scope of this venue, we cannot be completely agnostic to the politics of defining ends and the degree of others or criteria of inclusiveness in our community. That was the first introductory remark. The second one, we need to test. And cooperation for innovation lives, breathes around round tables. That concludes my introductory remarks.
Thank you very much for firing up the conversation. And I will start with a question to Josefin. I mean, I have some questions put down, but at all times throughout the session, you are more than welcome to raise your hand and ask a question. Would like this to be a little bit more interactive, if possible. Well, I'll start with a question. And I mean, how does the Civil-Military Innovation Program institutionalizing cross-sector innovation, and what elements of this model could actually scale across EU member states?
Yeah, that's an easy question. Not really. But I think you know what kind of cross-sectors innovation, or how to say, like we are really, as I said, aiming for actors like those that Vinnova has traditionally financed, but also in collaboration with like military, parts of the military, etc. And what I think has been like one of the success, or like why we can move so fast, is that we are doing it within Vinnova's legal framework, meaning we are doing it in an open space, an open environment, meaning we are like the widest funnel where we can really go broadly, and then we can like trying to narrow that down for being more, if we need to be in a classified environment, etc. But I think pace, fast moving is like one of the keys in here, because as we said before, like the fast moving, especially in the technology development, and something we can be true about, and is in the future, and it will never be as slow as it is today, meaning it will just accelerate, it will just move faster and faster because of the key technologies like AI, quantum, etc. So we really need to like finding, we cannot like sitting at the table and designing desktop projects. We really need to go out and test and try new things. And here is like, okay, we got this program, and what also came a lot, like a bunch of money to really start spending money on research projects. So we got all that at once. So we really had to try the first thing we did. And I think that's something not other countries are doing exactly the same. I know some are still discussing, can we do this in an open environment? Can we do, or do we have to be in a classified? And we think we're trying in open because that's the only thing we can do right now. And then I guess we will find, as I said, we are the widest funnel. And then when, projects get more, if it's more necessary to be in a confidential or like in a classified environment, then we are working together with the defense agencies as the Swedish Defence Procurement Agency, FMV, and also the Swedish Defence Research Institute, and then also the armed forces. So we have the ability to use those environments, but we're trying to do most of the things in the open from the beginning.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll go for a question to Somaya. You've mentioned connectivity a number of times. I mean, secure communication is at the core of modern defense. How is Ericsson addressing the unique demands of mission-critical networks in a defense context?
Okay, no, this is a very good question, especially when we are talking about this dual use and that we are using civilian technology. That means that started and conceived for civilian. So first of all, the most important thing is what Mr. Lymperis said. We need to start from what are the needs, what are the defense needs, and it's there where we are starting. And then we have seen that, okay, we can see that based on those, that means security, resilience, high performance, low latency, interoperability, and all, that 5G is a good fit. But then it's a good fit, but it's not sufficient because we need to have this 5G, the security tested and military grade. And here we start the test. So, and how we do that? We do that, of course, in a joint initiatives at different level, I can tell you. So we have, of course, from the ones at European level, the ones at NATO, the ones even locally. For example, I can mention the one at European level that is with the aim to try to understand if 5G is a good fit for the military needs or not, and it's called 5G Compad. It stands for 5G Communication for Peacekeeping and Defense, and this is a European R&D project where we have it's coordinated by Saab actually, and there we have several research institutions, several states. Of course, Sweden is definitely part of it, and Greece as well, with some SMEs there. We have as well several system integrators, several companies from the defense. And the whole idea there is to test all together and to see that 5G is secure and is a good fit for defense. Of course, we are doing our homework and working with the standardization to get that, security from the design, by design, that's from the beginning, but at all layers. And the best way is to test it. This Compad is now, it's several years that is there. We have been able even to showcase and to demo use cases that are really needed by the military. So for air, ground, maritime, so even that is something that I think that for Greece, because of all the costs that they have, we have tested and showcased, for example, from shore to ship, or ship to ship, or drones to ship, or deployables. That means even on the ground. So several use cases that are used that are very relevant for the defense. So the recipe is exactly this, as we said: understand the needs, work on something standardized in order to be, to be able to have this interoperability and to leverage on the huge ecosystem. Test together with the whole ecosystem to make it happen.
Thank you very much. I'll go to a follow-up question to Mr. Möller. And as a major industrial player, how can the private sector contribute to defense innovation while maintaining its commercial focus?
Yes. Traditionally, I think that the defense innovation drove civilian technology. That's been the case, but it has shifted. So it's a totally new landscape, I would say. Civilian technology now drives the automation. It drives energy efficiency. It drives also digitalization. Collaboration is then the really important thing here to guide us as a supplier in the right direction. And I will get back to you, to what you said there, and give an example. We, of course, develop autonomous trucks. The business case for developing an autonomous truck is to have the salary of the driver. That's the business. How much do you save by taking out the driver out of the truck? That is then the cost you can add on to the truck to make it autonomous. Then, of course, there's some time you save because you don't have to rest that much. In the defense industry, the business case is a life. Maybe you don't need to take out the driver all the time. It might be a very difficult area or dangerous area where you want to take out the driver. The driver can do something else while he's not driving the truck and maybe be a guard or whatever. Here we need to talk to the defense industry to understand how we can use our already developed technology and make it fit the needs of the defense industry.
Thank you. Mr. Lundmark, I mean, going to the industry themselves and your company, how is Saab leveraging advanced technologies such as AI and digital twins in modern defense systems?
We are currently in a quite large transformation of Saab. Started a year ago, looking into how to be more software defined. We have been doing that for several years, but now we are taking quite new effort into it and using digital twins. And digital twins is a very popular word, but you need to find your own definition of it because digital twins can go in different directions. It could be that actually you have a copy of all documents, drawings, etc. It could be something that you're using for reference during development, or it could be something that you use in a training facility to actually learn how to use an advanced program. So what we're currently using there is changing mindset, going from a hardware design to a software-defined approach, looking into how we can modularize the products and software, and by that actually applying AI on a complete different level, and also try to avoid earlier stovepipes between business units. So actually, instead of having a lot of parallel products, we're going for one new framework where we can utilize this. And everything comes down to actually delivery time and make sure that we can deliver small capability improvements very often instead of large capability improvements once a year or every second year. So actually modularize and doing with continuously development.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Skalaios, Hellenic Aerospace plays a pivotal role in Greece's defense ecosystem. How are you positioning the company to become a regional innovation hub with a new European defense landscape?
Yes, we are considered like a small prime, a local prime. We're not a prime like Saab or like Lockheed Martin, of course, but in Greece, Hellenic Aerospace industry is considered a prime. So we work very closely with the MOD, with the armed forces, with Hellenic Center of Innovation, LCAC, to understand the needs and develop solutions. And of course, all these solutions cannot be developed by us. We work a lot with SMEs, either in collaborating in R&D projects, in EDF or LCAC R&D projects, or also as subcontractors in large procurement projects. For example, Achilles Shield is a big project that we are working on. We have, we are not the leader there, but we are a subcontractor of a large player. And of course, as key local subcontractor, we're going to work with many Greek SMEs and larger companies in this consortium. In many aspects, Hellenic Aerospace industry is a local partner to larger companies, for example, like Saab. Of course, Lockheed Martin is a key partner long term, but also we are focusing a lot on diversifying this cooperation. And with regards to innovation, again, we expect that SMEs and startups will drive the innovation, and they will need industrial partners like larger industrial partners like us to make something in addition to establishing industrial base, production base, which is of course a key requirement, as an innovation is not enough, but you need to produce it. You need to have production lines, assembly lines, but also to work at the development phase to make those products manufacturable, suitable for the armed forces.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lymperis, Hellenic Center for Defense Innovation and Democritos are central to Greece's technology ecosystem. How can the national innovation infrastructure better support defense-oriented research and startups?
We are privileged to cooperate with an institution such as Democritos. But it's not only Democritos. The breadth and depth of Greek research spans worldwide. Well, research in which Greeks are involved. Opportunities offered specifically at Democritos and a couple of other research institutions. For example, via the Lefkipos Technology Park, are structured by design as multidisciplinary, a key aspect of defense-related research. We have recognized in HCDI 12 sectors of broad sectors for innovation, defense-related innovation. There is no one project that refers to only one sector. So those technology parks offer a distinct advantage. They offer an incubator, accelerators, and open access to a multitude of labs. From our part, we need to provide mission problems and open access to field experimentation, as well as funding for the Death Valley TRL-5 to TRL-8 transition. Innovation infrastructure is an opportunity. How we make use of it really matters. We were surprised ourselves by the multitude of opportunities that were there in this area, and we did not know they existed. Our work is to bring industry, military people, defense people, and researchers, academia, into one round table meaningfully.
Thank you very much. I'll go to the second series of questions. I mean, the first one actually focused on your companies, on your organizations. I'll try to become a little bit more generic. And again, as said before, very happy to take any question from the audience. I'll go again to Josefin asking, what lessons can Europe draw from national experiences such as Sweden's strong government-industry collaboration to strengthen our collective technological sovereignty and long-term security?
Yes, I think many people have said it before, but collaboration, because collaboration generates innovation, and innovation generates collaboration. And I think we need to, in Sweden we have, we went from being one of the poorest countries in Europe to become one of tech leader and like a prosperous country. And I think collaboration, and we often claim the triple helix model, meaning the collaboration between the industry, the academia, and the government. And I think that's a key factor, that we really have opportunities and generate that kind of collaboration doing research projects and finding platforms where actors from this organization can work together. But something I think we need to add more into this triple helix is actually the entrepreneurs and the risk capital. Because we, as I said before, it's going faster and faster. And I think the industry that's like the robustness and the long term also need entrepreneurs and these fast moving companies to generate. And I think that's something also in the EU level and the European level is something we can.
So just a follow-up question on this. I mean, speaking about the EU, how can Europe build a truly integrated innovation ecosystem where governments, industry, academia, entrepreneurs, and investors actually work together?
To really like collaborate over the borders, because I think as you see for the upcoming EU program, the next FP10 that's coming, and we are trying to like, okay, we have to focus on strategic technologies. Like in Europe, you said the 10 critical technologies. In NATO, you have the 9 emerging disruptive technologies. In Sweden, we have 6. But it's really to focus on strategic technologies, meaning the quantum, the AI, autonomous system, advanced semiconductors, biotech, new materials, energy tech, etc. To really focus and not seeing each other as independent countries, that we really have to leverage on each other as countries. Meaning like not all countries can have like a test hub or a test infrastructure for quantum. Maybe we can focus and have it in 1 or 2 countries, etc. To really not seeing each other, like really leverage on each other.
Thank you. Going to Somaya. As we move towards 6G-enabled edge intelligent networks, how will next-generation connectivity transform situational awareness and real-time command operations?
Okay. Well, this is what I said earlier a bit. You know, with the 6G, today we are having 5G, 5G and a half, and we are coming into the 6G. So the 6G, what will bring more, together with other advanced technologies mentioned by Josefin, like this artificial intelligence, the sensing, is to bring the intelligence at the edge. So really where it's needed to have this real-time, to be able to have a real-time action and decision. So where it will help in improving the situational awareness, because that means you can have a lot of data from different sources, as we said, drones, satellite, the forces, different forces in the country, outside the country, and all. And you have, and you can have that, improve your command and control, and there's a process those data and have a decision, an accurate decision. So that is what the new technologies will bring. But for this, there again, and it's important what Josefin was saying. We need to have, it cannot be, by country or something like this. It really needs to be standardized, because that's the only way to have this interoperability. We need these joint initiatives and joint R&Ds. That's very important. And we need to stop a bit, because we are seeing it right now. Europe is not there. Europe is still not Europe. So we are still seeing a reluctant, some countries, some are reluctant, because defense is a sensitive topic, of course, to share information, to share the knowledge. And that is what we need, and Europe is working towards that, I should say, NATO as well, with a lot of initiatives. But we need to be, to go from sovereignty from a local country to at least European, if not NATO. Okay.
Just a follow-up on this, and having to do with private telecom. Private telecom has infrastructure, and how can it be leveraged for dual-use applications without compromising national security?
Okay, so there are means for that. The commercial networks that we have today are very important. Why this? Because they have this connectivity that we are talking about, and they have a very good connectivity, reaching coverage national-wide, and not only. So it's a very good asset. But of course, we need to use it. It was there, as we said, for another purpose. it's not for only the TikTokers, Instagram, and all, for other things. So the capacity is there, the coverage is there, but we need to add that security. For that, and for that the military can use it, we are hardening the network. That means we are introducing some security, we are introducing some resilience, and this is Ericsson personally, Ericsson in particular, but others as well, we are discussing this into the 3GPP, the standardization of the telco, because this needs to be really, as we said, security by design. So from the standardization and how you are engineering your products should be secure and ethical as well.
Thank you, thank you. Going next to Lars, just a follow-up question. What role does sustainability and energy resilience play in shaping the next generation of military transport?
Well, first of all, we need to remember that war and crisis are dimensioning. You cannot build an organization or a capability for peacetime and then be surprised when it's wartime. So you need to take all the different solutions like hybrids, electrification, or fuel cells. You need to adopt that and understand how to use it in a war situation. The technology as such now is maybe not fully adopted. There are examples of it, but not in general adopted to a war or crisis situation. Will there be electricity? Recently, the war in Ukraine has shown us that, yes, electricity is there. They are now increasing a lot of electrical cars because they don't trust the fuel. The fuel or the diesel or petrol needs to be used for the war machines, so there's no fuel left. Then they buy electric cars. No one would have thought that 3 years ago. So we need to think about how will the crisis or war situation give us fuel in any way, and then we need to adopt and try to make it as good as possible. Then.
Just another question on this. You being at Volvo, how can partnerships between companies such as Airbus, Defense Space, Leonardo, Saab, and defense ministries be structured to actually foster long-term collaboration and innovation rather than one-off procurement?
Long-term partnerships is really the key, I think, here. It will then, first of all, it will secure that we develop the right products. Then, as a second step, it will hopefully then take us away from these short-term purchases where the lowest price is everything. Then you don't get security of supply when the crisis or war comes. If you just buy one by one, short-term, low price, you will not build a partnership that will create security of supply with spare parts, reparations, serviceability, etc. So I think to get rid of that short-term where when you ask for help, half a year later, have no one to talk to get rid of that, you need long-term partnerships.
Thank you. And going to Stefan, what forms of cooperation do you see as most effective for bridging large defense primes and smaller innovators across Europe?
That's a tricky question, actually.
I was just given the question by Mr. Lymperis.
I think the most important corporations here where you find a match between knowledges, and that Lars-inge was into also, you need to find the corporations where you build trust over time. Because the kind of products that we have are usually developed over several years, and then they are in usage for 10, 20, 30, or like our submarines, they are in use for 40 years or more. That means that the cooperation with different companies and subject matter experts are actually the most important thing is trust. And if we get trust in partner relationships and supplier relationships, we can actually rely on partners for key development or key areas, and that's something that is important because that means that we can focusing on some parts and actually rely that someone else is really, really good in their areas can provide that capability to us. And complex products like mine, with the submarines, it's more or less a product to product, meaning that if the submarine is capable over 40 years, I have different life cycles within the product where I need to do different technology changes and master upgrades. And there I need to rely on really, really trusted partnerships.
Just following this up, in the context of European strategic autonomy, how can industrial partnerships strengthen collective deterrence and resilience?
I would say that actually with the partnership, resilience is actually about being able to keep up independent of what happens. So going into these partnerships and sharing technology and sharing development means that we are less vulnerable when things happen. And if we have a good cooperation and a strong partnership, we also avoid developing company unique solutions. So actually relying on standards, relying on the ability to have something like plug and play. You see it now coming more and more in definitions from NATO regarding service-based architectures, and I think that's a good way moving forward. And you can utilize that in both autonomous products as well as real ones.
Thank you. Going to Mr. Skalaios, how can national industries like Hellenic Aerospace leverage EU funding mechanism to scale up innovation?
Okay, yes. Mechanisms like EDF and other similar, like EDA, of course help companies like us and also smaller companies, as they provide the first funding for innovations, and also, which is more important, especially as regards a local type of EDF, like in our case, LCAC, they provide the proof of sale. So if we develop a new product or upgrade a new product in cooperation with an organization like LCAC, we have the proof of sale, so it helps us also scale up and actually commercialize such opportunities easier. Having said that, in collaboration, would like to add something to Stefan. Like, trust is very important. We constantly have a debate in partnership agreements, because we have a lot of partnership agreements also in discussion with Saab. What part of the technology can be outsourced, can be transferred as know-how transfer in a collaboration. And of course, trust and long-term relationship is critical for that.
Absolutely. And how can collaboration with domestic industrial manufacturers be strengthened in the new technology domain, such as drones, for example?
Okay, in our case, as I said, being a state-owned company, private sector companies have some flexibilities that we lack. So through such collaborations, we achieve flexibility in production, and also you become more efficient, because that is also not just nationally, but also within Europe, which is a common procurement theme right now. The idea is to be good at what you do. So if different parts of a system are developed and manufactured by different players that are working together, Of course, each develops their own expertise and it creates a better cost structure, a better efficiency in what they do. And of course, that helps the end product, the end system.
Thank you very much. I'll go to Mr. Lymperis. And what role do AI, quantum computing, and cybersecurity research play in Greece's emerging defense tech ecosystem?
I was afraid that you were going to ask that. No. All those technologies are central in the shortening of the observe-oriented duct loop. And while they need a lot of human capital and, of course, rather expensive infrastructure, well, we are happy to build an AI factory here for the whole of Europe. I believe that investing in those sectors will provide us with a distinct advantage over people who value mass. And I don't dare to go into the technical details of either AI, quantum, or cyber. I will leave it there.
Just a follow-up on this. How can academia and research institutions and the Defense Ministry collaborate more effectively on innovation and technology transfer?
You are very polite. You say, collaborate more effectively. That means that they are already collaborating. Well, collaboration around defense has not been the norm in my country for a long time. How do we put structure into chaos? Innovation is chaotic. To embrace this, we need to align our distinct missions with results in our crosshairs. Academia must have the lead on discovery. We cannot all try to discover. Academia must lead in discovery. Research centers will have to take the lead in validation. HCDI, my organization, will strive for transition along the TRL scale, and industry should focus naturally on scaling and export. A key aspect of this, and it was mentioned but not in those words from speakers before me, is intellectual property. We recognize that, and we are trying to formulate, and it's not easy, a defense IP playbook. It is not terra incognita, but we need to work on the details. Alignment comes not only from fuzzy organizational diagrams. He will do that, she will do that. It rests on people working outside their area of comfort. And we are helping with that. Yes. You're right, I'm sorry. I'm not used in... Research in many instances has a characteristic of a self-serving beast. A continuous update of papers for paper's sake. We do not intend to fund endless papers. We need to reward the transfer of results to real-life solutions. That was the last wise thing I had to say.
I'll ask you for another wise thing later on, but... And just trying to put all of this together, it will be a dual question to all of you. I mean, starting, we have discussed a lot, and you have discussed a lot about collaboration. So I'm going to be asking you all, what are the biggest barriers to collaboration between governments and the defense industry? And also, how can we ensure that increased defense spending, that we are all aware it's going to happen, translates into innovation rather than just national investments? So it's a dual question to all, and I'll start with you.
Okay, so see if I remember the whole question, but...
Collaboration.
Collaboration.
and
I'm not going to talk about
good use of investments.
The barriers between the government and I think it's also a lot about trust. Collaboration comes with trust, of course, and where you also have to see beyond that. And I think we have some good examples in Sweden where we have been successful. I think it's hard for me to talk about Saab, but the Gripen fighter program, where we really succeeded in this collaboration, where the government act as the demanding customer, and Saab was the prime contractor, but also a lot of academia and others were included. And so I think like the barriers, I guess, is a lot of, you have to have trust in your partners. And I'm not sure if I remember the second part of the question.
The second question has to do with basically the spending, the increased defense spending in reality, how it can translate to innovation rather than just local, national investment.
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. And I think the real, for Europe, the future of Europe is to really harness the truth, the dual-use innovation that is really for both the competitiveness and also for the security. Meaning, if you can spend wisely, invest wisely within, as I said, strategic technologies, and really see them as a driver for both the competitiveness to solve global challenges and other things for the industrial transition, etc., but also for our future security. I think we can invest in this, but then also I think we have to also take risk, because I think in Europe as a whole, we are not as good as taking risk as one of our competitors, like the US, where you really see it as a, they're innovation agencies, and when you have DARPA, you have really high risk projects where most of the projects will fail, which is the same. And I think having this portfolio thinking as you have as an investor, 9 out of 10 will fail, but will live on the outliers, is because, as I said, we have to try new things. We have to really we cannot just putting all eggs in one cage and look at that project. We have to have several projects within. So it's kind of, as I said before, we have to focus in this strategic, but we also have to take higher risk.
Thank you. Somaya.
If I may complement, I fully agree with Josefin when she's saying, collaboration starts with trust. With trust, transparency, but as well, the same ambition, the long-term ambition, the same, which is not yet the case. What I was referring to earlier. That means today there are still, depending on, the why, the reasons behind and the rationale behind, but there are still, country-based requirements, and all. And that's not easy because, even for the industry, and I'm talking, for the industry from a private perspective, it's extremely hard to have to enter this defense industry because there are the procurement rules are very rigid, very complex, and not easy at all. So there is this risk that you are saying, but we need to streamline a bit, the frameworks of collaboration. An example, certification. Certification today is still country-based. How can we, for example, if I am certified in a country in Europe, in France, for example, that doesn't mean that automatically I'm certified for the whole European Union, for example. So cross-certification is something very important. Ericsson is a big company, but think about the small and the medium companies that we said that, however, they are really key in this ecosystem because they have this agility that we cannot have in the prime. That's very important. They cannot cope with all this complexity and all. So we really need to streamline, these procurement rules and have some frameworks, at least at European level, at least.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Collaboration, yes, it's trust, 100% trust. How do you build trust? I think you do it by everyone feeling that they are investing in something. Not only money, it can be time, efforts, and as well money. But if only one part is investing, then you do not build trust, and then you do not get good collaboration, I think. And on the second question then, how do you make sure that increased defense spending do not only end up in investments, instead innovations? It's, again, long-term partnership. Innovation takes time. You don't, well, some people did long time ago, found ideas like Eureka, but innovation takes time, and you need to have long-term partnerships to be able to use that time and get what you want. Do not buy in small chunks at lowest price. Then, as you said previously, when you need spare parts, you're gone, or the company is gone, or they just made a quick deal. Long-term partnership is the solution, 100% sure.
Thank you.
I was still looking into collaboration. When I look at Sweden and Saab, we are more or less a team Sweden, and that comes from a long time ago. And I see as one of the foundation is the triple helix. That is really, really important. If you dig a little bit into the history of Saab, it actually was founded 1937 on a handshake between the Prime Minister and the owner of Saab. And the message was actually make sure that we keep safe during the Second World War. And actually Saab started developing the manufacturing airplanes without the contract. And I would say from that on until where we are today, we have, through the triple helix and the trust, a very deep collaboration within government, industry, and academia. And we are trying to take that motto and that atmosphere to other countries. We see that in larger business cases that we've been involved in, for example, Gripen to Brazil. It has been a lot of cooperation with Brazilian government, Brazilian companies, and actually continuing to build on this trust, because collaboration comes from trust. So that's quite easy. And finding partners that you can collaborate with, actually make sure that you have funding over for investments. Because bottom line, being an industry means that the owners want to have some kind of profit. And that means that you need to balance that. And if you can work in a collaborative environment, you actually get more money for innovation and investments. So that's the way we believe it should be done.
Thank you. Mr. Skalaios?
Okay, defense is a quite complex environment. With regard to the first question, how could European governments collaborate? This is policy. I mean, from the corporate point of view, it's something that the countries need to decide, the governments need to decide, and the EU organizations to assist. We operate in an environment where you need export license to export your products. In different sectors, there is no such constraint. As Somaya said, all the procurement complexities in the defense sector. So, right, I think the biggest driver for European collaboration is Donald Trump, because de facto he has imposed that to the European governments. I think that's positive. That the European defense sector will now be empowered, have more collaboration, more common procurement, more commonality in platforms, easier maintenance, easier follow-on support. All these things are important, and they can happen only through collaboration. Now, with regards to the other question, I think, however unfortunate, wars are the key catalyst in innovation. And the biggest accelerator of innovation, at least in our sector, is what's happening in Ukraine, what happened in Israel and Iran. So it will happen, in our view, it happens, the market does it, the reality does it, so that you don't invest in old weapons, in old weapon systems to like 10 years ago, and you need to go to unmanned, you need to go to drones, you need to go to electronic warfare. So by observing what's going on around you, you're obliged to invest more in innovation than in traditional weaponry.
Thank you. Mr. Lymperis?
I will answer the second question first. Usually, we are focusing on input metrics. How much money are we putting into that? How much effort are we putting into the other thing? Here, we are trying to correct a transfer function from capacity to capability. So we need to focus collectively at the European level on output measures. This is the first step. Specific points. Reuse of components. Certification process for certified components across our countries within the European Union. Certification of prototypes for testing purposes. If I have to go through an airworthiness protocol that is extant today, I have to wait 6 months. It's too late. Now I will turn to your other question, which I will turn it on its head. I will not recognize barriers. I will say what we are doing to overcome those barriers. We openly publish intentions about our priorities well before airing a request for proposal. And that was a first for the Greek government as a whole. We openly trying to bring together under every thematic innovation sector all involved. We use the concept of challenges to overcome bureaucratic procurement. We have persuaded political masters for multi-year budgeting. And to overcome lack of experimentation opportunities, we are actively promoting testing in the operational environment with the support of our defense forces. I recognize that I have not mentioned the one thing that probably matters most: sharing of risk. At the end of any successful innovation valley, at the minimum, we need to provide for a proof of sale certificate. Ideally, there needs to be a place de contrat. Risk minimization has also to do with the problem formulation phase. If we get it right at this phase, nature hates voids.
Thank you very, very much. Now, before concluding, I will open up to questions. I know that we have a remark or a question. Do we have a mic or should I... Εδώ μπροστά, στο τραπέζι 2, παρακαλώ. Στον κύριο Γενικό Γραμματέα.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed the discussion. 3 brief remarks, if I may. Firstly, legacy military systems will continue to be both important and necessary. So if you come with such a proposal, we'll of course listen. But if you come with a proposal about new technologies, we'll listen carefully. Secondly, there may or may not be a physical attack against another European country, be that in the Arctic, the eastern flank, or the southern flank. Hopefully not. But what we know is that many actors, state and non-state, are using hybrid methods, and that will intensify. So I would encourage all of us not to focus only on defense, but also on security and resilience. And there are many technologies mentioned in your discussion that we need to invest more. Third point, Greece has a significant number of competitive SMEs, and we have a growing crowd of startups. Now, there are many big companies selling high-quality products. Now, if the interest is only to sell, then you better have a very unique product. But if you're interested in either developing jointly a product or to include some of those SMEs and perhaps take advantage of startups, what they have to offer, and include those companies into your global supply chain, then you are most welcome to come.
Thank you. I do not know whether any of you would like to comment.
Yeah, maybe I can start and then the others. I fully buy in what you are saying. It's not only about defense, it's security, resilience, definitely. I mean, you have a point there. And that's part of, at least from Ericsson perspective, one of the focuses. Listen, that's exactly, we are really cautious about coming from the civilian, that we need really to listen and to understand very well the needs. So you have another point, definitely. I think that what we were discussing as well, just to add a positive note, is that the whole, for example, in the last NATO summit, there was this rapid adoption action plan. And that, they have assigned, they have created 6 innovation ranges. And, Sweden has one together with Finland for 5G and 6G. And the whole idea there is that we test this in a defense scenario with real, having, of course, other SMEs and, other companies in the ecosystem, and to test really in a defense scenario. And that's the learning and that's the listening as well. So definitely, you have definitely a point. And I see that the willingness is there. Of course, we have to test, prototype, and scale rapidly. Because as you said, and Josefin as well was highlighting this several times, technology is advancing on our side, but on our enemy's side. And we need to be, at the edge.
Ahead of them. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
So for really good points, I really agree. But I think with the SME and something that we learned from one of the calls in our project is a startup or an SME call, where we really, in our first batch, we had like 15 SMEs that was having an accelerator program, and then they got some funding for development. But what we could see, because mainly most of these startups, they are developing a component. It's not like systems but 3 of the companies, they got together because they met at this accelerator program that was like once a month. And they met and they could really create something together that has actually been like a small pilot together with one parts of the air forces. So, but just creating this platform where these startups meet was also creating something where they can start collaborating.
Please.
A good example also is something that's a live example of this collaboration, and your point is the IRIS-T missile. It's a great cooperation between 6, 7, or 8, I think, maybe more European nations, European companies, from Nordic, from Southern Europe. Greece is participating, many Nordic companies, most of the companies that are in the panel, for sure Saab, I think it is. And it's an excellent example how with one leader, which is Diehl Defense, a German company, a lot of European SMEs, let's say, because by doing 50 million or 100 million, you're an SME in Europe, are contributing and are creating expertise in their own subsystem or component, as you said, but they're becoming good in what they do, and the total system is the integration of that. So we have a live example.
Stefan?
I think, looking at all the big number of startups that is coming. So one challenge, at least for us as a bigger company, is actually to just find them. I can see this business forum. Now it's been working for 10 years, but I can see the business forum as one one platform to actually push out information of startups in different areas. Because there might be many really, really good startups that we never know about. So that's actually one area. I mean, if we're looking into this business forum, strengthen relationship between Sweden and Greece. So use the forum to actually push new startups, and so we are aware of them. Because many of them they could have great ideas. I know from own experience many, many years ago that when you are a small startup, it's quite easy to do the first 6 months or the first 12 months. But it's actually then there is a level that you need to actually go by and actually get contacts. It could be Vinnova, it could be others, but you need to be known and you need to recognized and you need have somewhere to actually turn to get funding or to be involved in a partnership or something. And with these small companies with some bright ideas, they are usually really, really good at their technology or what they're doing. And they are maybe not so good at actually creating the partnerships because they have come from actually having an idea of a new technology. And that means that if they're focusing a lot on what's not their core business, they're actually losing pace in what they are the startups for. So actually, I think use this BIS forum and see if we can find some way to actually get out information.
Thank you. I don't know whether there are any other questions. So if I can just wrap it up, I mean, I started taking some notes when I started asking the question, but it all ends up to a few words. I mean, great opportunity, great opportunities, collaboration, cross-business, cross-country, cross-governmental, trust, and another word starting with T. Test, and test again before you do anything. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.